Hello, dear Mongolian friends. Sambetskano. Hope you're doing well and that the weather is starting to turn a little better. Things are starting to become spring here. It's still a little cool air, but it's windier and it's bringing in some warmer air. So as April starts, today is April 1st. The weather is starting to turn, so we'll be outside probably before you know it. Jennifer and I are getting our COVID shots on Saturday, so please pray for that. It's a single shot, Johnson & Johnson, so our hope is that we'll be not have much of a reaction to it, maybe just a little bit of tiredness, and we'll be back and up and running soon. So I hope you enjoyed the first video, the first week's content and information about biblical reconciliation. Got some relational healing. And my understanding from Temka is that, and this is what I hoped as well, is that you would be able to look at the information and during the week and discuss it with some of your friends and really come up with some strong convictions about reconciliation and healing and peace between people. Again, it's such an important topic and one that is a difficult one and sometimes takes time. But the Lord is in it, and He wants us to handle these things for our own benefit, for His glory, and for His kingdom. So we're moving on to week 2, and I'm going to give you 5 principles of biblical reconciliation. So I guess you're going to talk about the first week and discuss it some. Hopefully you've already done that on Sunday, and then you'll listen to week 2 here, and then hopefully next week, and then during the week, and then the weekend you'll discuss that, and then we'll move into week 3. That will be the last one for this series. So the first biblical principle of biblical reconciliation is reconciliation should take place before resolution. That can be found in Matthew 5, verses 23 and 24, where it says, be reconciled. And we need to define what reconciliation is, so you know. It's basically replacing anything that's hostile or difficult, and separation, replacing hostility and separation with peace and friendship. So this is between people. The focus on this part is on the relationship. It's getting that relationship right first so you can work on resolving the issue. The second part is resolution. So once you've reconciled and come to a place of peace and friendship again, then you can start to work on the issues. So resolution is satisfactorily solving areas of disagreement between you. And the focus is on the issue at that time. Okay, so how do you reconcile before resolving? If you can kind of imagine, it starts with an unresolved issue between two people or more, and they have an unreconciled relationship. So they reconcile the relationship first, and then they can work on resolving the issue, and that leads to peace and hopefully harmony in the long run. Okay, so number 2, conflict is an issue of stewardship. And this can be found in 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 5 and 6, James chapter 1, verses 2 and 4. This is something to take very seriously. Every conflict is an opportunity to show God what you really think of Him. Do you trust Him? Do you believe in Him? It's a chance to glorify God, to trust Him and glorify Him. It's a chance to serve others in humility, because it takes humility to admit you are wrong and be willing to work on it. It helps you to grow spiritually. It's an opportunity for you to open the door for God to change you and transform you and refine you. And we often grow through our most difficult situations. We grow through trials. So we can't run away from them. That would be the easy thing to do. And I've seen this many times, not just in Mongolia, but all over the world where I've done it myself. We run away from the problem. We run away from the person that we're having struggles with. We run away from the issue. And we just kind of hope it's going to go away and just kind of, act as if it's not really there, but it's there. And unless it's dealt with, it's going to always be a problem. And we've seen that. These issues can last days, weeks, months, even years if they're unresolved. And it just poisons relationships. Okay, number 3 principle. Forgiveness is the only effective solution for hurt and anger. That can be found in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 10 and 11. Paul mentioned that the way to defeat Satan was to forgive. Number 4, unreconciled relationships give opportunity for demonic influence. Again, that's 2 Corinthians 2, 10 and 11, and 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. We don't want to give the devil an opportunity, a foothold. Number 5, the last one. Deliberate, intentional effort is required to keep relationships reconciled. And, we must be vigilant. We have to be looking for any, be very aware of any issues between us and anyone else, and make sure that we try to go after forgiveness and reconciliation and restoration. Okay? Next is Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 to 17. I'm going to talk about the flow of that verse, and it speaks to these issues of reconciliation. So verse 15 says, "Go in private, just between the two of you." And if this was the way we handled it, 90% of our conflicts can be solved here between the two people. Minor conflict can often be done there, or major. But when the conflict gets larger and affects more, it gets more difficult and complicated. But we can still use this in a sharing for a small group, or even in a ministry. Going to the person that has wronged you or you have wronged. So verse 16 says, "Take one or two along with you," and this is like a mediation. So if there's no change, there's a stubbornness, or there's a refusal on one person's part, they just refuse to act, this would be the next step, to take one or two other people that have seen this or that have observed this issue and address and try to mediate between the two people that are having the problem. So the question is, who should take the initiative? Who should be the first one to step in and try to make this right? Whose responsibility is that? Matthew 5:23 and 24 says it's the offender, the person who sinned against the other person. It's their responsibility to approach the person that they hurt or offended and try to reconcile and have resolution and forgiveness. So that's one. On the other side, Matthew 18 and 15 says it's the offended person that should take the initiative. It's the person that was sinned against. So who's supposed to take the initiative? Both people. It's whether you've been wronged or you've wronged another person, both of you are responsible for taking initiative. Don't wait for the other person to take the initiative, as you might both be waiting a long time. And that gets at pride. You're prideful. And again, that's a sin. So you want to humble yourself, whether you've been hurt or hurt another, and go to the other person. You make the first move. Here's another question. Do you need to address every conflict, no matter how small? Proverbs 19:11 says, overlooking an offense is to that person's glory. So, no, not every person. If sometimes you just let it go. Well, how do you know if you should let it go or not, if it's not something to address? Ask God to help you let it go in humility. Another way to look at it is if after a week, it's called the 1 week rule, it could be a one-time thing that just happened, and if that's the case, try to let it go. But if it's a consistent, persistent thing that stays with you at least a week, or it happens again, then you may need to address it. Give the benefit of the doubt to the other person that their intentions are good and honorable and are not meant to hurt you, because in most cases they don't, but they don't even realize it. So I hope that helps. Here's some simple steps in how to approach another person about offense or conflict. First of all, pray. James 5:16 says, there's effectiveness and healing if we pray together in humility and confession. Number two, listen. James 1:19, listening for the purpose of understanding and not just for the circumstances and who you can place the blame with. Listen with the intention of just trying to understand the other person. Number three, offer forgiveness. Matthew 6:14-15. Forgive by letting it go and releasing it. As Christ forgave us, forgive. And number four, work it out. Matthew 5:23-24 again. What is it that needs to be changed? Okay. So you've got some more questions, some more scriptures to work through, to think about, to pray about, and to ask God if there's, again, anyone in your life that you have hurt or offended or has hurt you that you need to approach and begin the process of reconciling, forgiving, and having him heal that relationship. It really can be a beautiful picture of God's forgiveness for us as we see this process unfold and how he works. So God bless you guys. We are praying for you and look forward to, again, when we see you in person. And so to all of you, I say, bye.